All right, prepare to get dizzy because we're going to be spinning around this entire math lesson. We are looking at lesson 8 today in this geometry module, module 4 that we are working on. And we're looking at turns today. As you saw with Mr. Walker in the video, we're looking at turns, and he showed you some videos of skaters and snowboarders doing 180s and 360s and even more than that. And so your homework today is going to be talking about turns and turning this direction and that direction and knowing which way we're facing. I drew I cut out a little arrow just to help us today, and I put it on a paper clip so that just to help you see what it means when we're doing these turns. And what I want you to look at first and think about is the degrees that each turn is. So if we're looking at this picture right here, and I make one turn to the right, then I made a 90-degree turn. If I do two turns, so if I'm looking at the house and I do two turns, 1, 2, that's 180 degrees. It's the opposite direction. If I do 3 turns from the beginning, it's 1, 2, 3, that's 270 degrees. And then all the way around, 4 turns would be 360, just like a circle has 360 degrees in it. So we're going to be looking at some problems today that make sure you understand those things. So the first one, we need to read the directions up here first, and then we'll start answering these 3 questions. Joe, Steve, and Bob stood in the middle of the yard and faced the house. So we're going to put our arrow facing the house. They're all looking at the house right now. And then name the object that each boy is now facing. So let's read the directions here. Letter A says, and this is not your homework, but this is what your homework is going to be like. Joe turned 90 degrees to the right. 90 degrees to the right, that's 1 turn to the right. You got to know your right and your left to do this too. Make sure you know that. Okay? So he turned 1 turn, 90 degrees to the right. What object is he facing now? He's now looking at what? The fence. Okay. Steve turned, remember they're all looking at the house at first, so we got to turn it back to the house. Steve turned 180 degrees to the right. What object is he facing now? 180 is 2 turns, so 1, 2. So what object is he facing now? Steve is facing the tree now. Let's set it back to where it was. They're all facing the house, but Bob, good old Bob, he turned 270 degrees to the right. What object is he facing now? So 270 is how many turns? 3 turns. 1, 2, 3. So what object is Bob looking at? Bob is looking at the barn. Yeah, so it's just like the circle, just like Mr. Walker showed you in the circle. 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and then all the way around the circle is 360 degrees. Let's look at some more problems thinking like this. Okay, I went ahead and wrote on this a little bit for you. Monique looked at a clock at the beginning of class. At the beginning of class, the minute hand was here on the 12. And at the end of class, the minute hand is now on the 9. How many degrees did the minute hand turn from the beginning of class to the end? So we know it went from the 12 all the way around to the 9. So think about it in these turns like we were just doing. 1 turn to the 3 would be 90 degrees. 2 turns to the 2 would be 180 degrees. 3 turns to the 9 would be 270 degrees. 270 degrees. So that clock hand turned 90, 180, 270 degrees. Just like Mr. Walker showed you in the video. 3 from the 12 to the 3, that's a 90-degree angle. From the 3 to the 6 is a 90-degree angle. From the 6 to the 9 is a 90-degree angle. 90 plus 90 plus 90 would be 270 degrees. Okay? Number 3, we're just going to make sure we understand what it means to turn 360 degrees. A skater jumped into the air and did a 360. What does that mean? Well, a 360 means I'm facing this way, and then I turn all the way around, and I'm facing the same way again. So he turned all the way around. The skater, we don't know if it's a boy or girl, the skater turned all the way around. All the way around. Now let's look at old Mr. Martin down here. Mr. Martin drove away from his house without his wallet. He forgot his wallet. He did a 180. Where is he heading now? A 180, remember that's how many turns is that? That's 2 turns, right? So he did a 180. It's this direction. Okay, he's heading this direction. We're going to turn it 2 times. Okay, so he's going this direction. 1 time would be 90 degrees. 2 times, he's heading back the other direction. So he's going back where? Where would you go if you forgot your wallet? You'd go back to your house and get it. Okay, make sure you point it in the direction that they're heading. So he's heading to the store, but he did a 180. Remember, 180 is 2 turns. 1, 2. Okay, turn into the next page. This is not that hard, is it? Pretty simple. John turned the knob of the shower clockwise, means it turns the same way a clock does, as shown below. How many degrees did he turn the knob? Okay, so it started here. Let's see how many times we have to turn it to get it facing that way. I bet you already know. So 1 time, like it's on the 3. 2 times would be the other direction. 3 times would get us that direction. So how many degrees? We add 90 each time. So 1 time is 90. 2 times is 180. And 3 times, how many degrees? 270 degrees. Remember what we learned on our first page. I'll go back to that. You might want to jot that down for today's assignment. 1 turn is 90 degrees. 2 turns is 180. 3 turns is 270, and 4 turns. And really, when I say turn, it's right angles, isn't it? There's 4 right angles in a circle. So every turn, we're turning 90 degrees is what we're doing. Okay. Now, Barb used her scissors to cut out a coupon for the newspaper. How many quarter turns does she need to turn the paper in order to stay on the lines? Okay, so we're starting here. She's going to cut here. And she's going to have to turn here. So there's 1. So she's going to cut down through here. She's going to have to turn here. So there's 2. And she goes right here. And there's 3. And then she's going to have to turn right here and cut back up. So 1, 2, 3. And when she gets back there, she'll be done. So do we want to say 4? Let's read the question again. Barb used her scissors to cut out a coupon from the newspaper. How many quarter turns does she need to turn the paper in order to stay on the lines? Well, again, if she starts here, she's going to start. She's going to have to turn it here. So there's 1. She's going to have to turn it here. There's 2. She's going to have to turn it here. There's 3. So I'm thinking the answer is 3 turns because she's got to start there, okay? How many quarter turns does the picture need to be rotated in order for it to be upright? So the doggy is laying on his side right now. We want it to be straight up. So there's a couple ways we can answer this because it didn't tell us if we have to turn it to the left or right, does it? If we're going to turn it to the right, we're going to have to turn that doggy 1, 2, 3 for him to be sitting up straight if we turn it to the right. So we could say 3 turns to the right. But what if we turned him to the left? How many turns would we have to turn him the other direction? We turn to the left 1, and he would be straight up, wouldn't he? So it could also be 1, turn to the left. Okay. Turn to the last page here, or I'll turn. You don't have it in front of you. Meredith faced north, so she's facing north. She turned 90 degrees to the right. Okay. Now she's facing east. And then 180 more. That's 2 more turns. 1, 2. In which direction is she facing now? Well, now she's facing west. And that is exactly what your homework is going to be like for today. And so if you want to make you a little arrow and hold it on your computer screen and turn it to help you, that's fine. Whatever you need to do to help you understand this lesson, you can cut it out. You might be able to see it in your head and not have to use a little arrow like I did. Whatever helps you, you can use it. All right, go get that homework done today. Go practice some spinning around and turning.